Tune in for Patrick Ching's Painting in Paradise.
Aloha, I'm Patrick Ching, and thank you for joining me on Painting in Paradise. In this episode, we celebrate the moon.
We'll learn a little about the moon and why it looks the way it does. Then I'll show you how to draw a fish that's named after the moon. I'll show you how to paint a moonlight scene, and we'll join some friends at an Ohana-style moon painting party. All this and more on an illuminating episode of Painting in Paradise! In Hawaii, we have a special relationship with the moon, which in Hawaiian is called mahina. To Hawaiians, the knowledge of the moon phases was very important for successful farming, fishing, building, and many aspects of daily life. The moon has a gravitational pull on the earth which affects all things made of water. The moon's pull on the earth affects the tides of the ocean, and also the tides in our bodies, which are mostly made of water. During full moons and new moons, the tides are at their highest and their lowest. The view that we get from the moon is determined by the position of the moon in relationship to the earth and sun. This determines how much of the sunlit part of the moon we can see from Earth. A full moon occurs when the moon comes over the eastern horizon about the same time as the sun sets in the west. When the moon is close to the horizon, it appears large and golden. As it gets higher in the sky, it appears smaller and whiter in color. I like when the full moon rises right between the blue of the Earth's shadow and the pink edge of the sun's rays. When we return, I'll show you how to draw a fish with those same moonrise colors and is named after the moon. Hawaii's monk seals and green sea turtles have been around for millions of years. When their numbers got low, they became protected by law. These animals are returning to beaches they've not come to for hundreds of years. This causes excitement and sometimes conflict. Honu and Hina is a children's book that was painted with aloha by many artists of all ages. This story of coexistence answers some questions about the history of these animals, but more importantly, about their future.
Available at the Kilauea Lighthouse, Patrick Ching Art in the Princeville Center, or online at patrickchingart.com.
The Opah, or moonfish, is a beautiful deep water fish that's become very popular in fine dining. The shape and colors of the Opah are so beautiful that I thought it'd be a good fish to draw for our Moonlight episode.
Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I go about drawing a moonfish. And yes, they're called Opah, and they do occur in Hawaiian waters. And I'm going to start the Opah by pressing softly. How are we going to press? Softly, that's right. We press softly so we don't dig into the paper. And that way, if we need to ignore any lines or erase any lines, it's easy to do. So now I'm going to start by creating a nice circle in the middle of the page, just like the shape of a moon. You know, they're called moonfish, yeah? All right. And in the front here, I'm going to create the shape of the mouth. Coming down to the body. And on the bottom, it's got a little bit of a point there too. And then on the tail is a little higher than halfway. It's not really just halfway, but it's a little higher. Has a forked tail. And comes up like that, okay? All right. Now for the fin on the top, called a dorsal fin, that comes up way high like that. And for the down here fin, it's a little pointed and kind of has the same shape as the top. It has fins down below called pelvic fins, and these are kind of large on this Opah, like that. And then also it has the pectoral fins, you know, the fins on the side, and they're way up here, just about like that. Okay, now the slit of the gills is way up here too. It's not really in the middle, it's more on the top part here. And it has another kind of a repeated gill slit over there. And then it has the maka, yeah? The maka, the eye, so you can see his food. And that maka goes right around here. I'll put one circle for the dark part and then another circle outside of it. Next, I'm going to put the line for the upper lip. A lot of fish have their upper lip a little more pronounced than the bottom one, and that's true with the Opah. Okay, so kind of a big upper lip over there. And now we got all his fins, everything. Now I'm going to just draw a whole bunch of spots, and then I'm going to come back with a bigger pen and do the final detailing, okay? All right. Okay, now on the fins themselves, they got little sections called rays, and they even got a certain number. You know, each species has, I think, a different amount on the different parts of the fin. Again, the two fins that make up the tail are called caudal fins. And then we got the down here fin. And we have pectoral fins and pelvic fins. And there you have a form-up shape of the Opah. Now what I'm going to do is come back with a bigger pen and kind of go over my lines, maybe adjust them still if I want to. All right, and now the last thing I'm going to do is give him a little glimmer in his eye by leaving a little white dot, kind of like a reflection, and then turning the rest of his eyeball darker. And there you have the moonfish called the Opah.
Now that you have your moonfish drawn, you can color it any way you want. When painting the moonfish, I'll start with the deep blue color of the ocean that the Opah lives in. When painting the moonfish itself, I actually use the golden and orange colors of the moon as it just rises above the horizon. Then I'll put in the pinkish and bluish colors of the sky as the moon rises between the shadow of the earth and the edge of light. The white spots of the Opah remind me of the stars. And don't forget your signature! And there you have it, the painted moonfish called the Opah. When we return, I'll show you how to paint a moonlight scene. The following is a condensed version of one of my online painting lessons. This is a traditional oil painting lesson I started by painting and drying a layer of blue paint.
All right, well this lesson is going to be of doing a magical moonlit sky. You can simply start to paint the moon, and I'm going to get some white paint here, and I'm going to put it in there where I have my moon. So that's kind of like my placeholder. So the first color I'm going to mix up is kind of like this aqua green color. I'm going to get some white. I've got that aqua green in there. Maybe I'll take a little bit of my phthalo blue and white too. Okay, so I got my moon right there. I'm going to go right around it. This is our model right here. Bing, I call it Manana Moon. I'm going to model this painting somewhat after this. But for now, I'm going to take this away. So what I did right here is I mixed up some light blue by using phthalo blue and white, okay? Now notice this light blue is still significantly darker than the first color we put on, okay? And we need that. We need to get progressively darker as we go towards the edges, okay? And I'm just going to make another circle right outside of that one. And once again, I'm going to put more of this light blue colored paint than I'm going to end up with. Because when I start adding the dark blue paint into this light blue, the dark blue is going to overpower it. Now is a time when I'm actually going to want to take the lighter color and radiate it out into the darker color, okay? I'm going to be using these small little strokes like this. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of filling up my brush with this light color and going around the circle. And as I do these brush strokes, I'm starting to pick up on the darker color. And I'm just going to be overlapping here. Your goal is to make the center lighter and fade out to darker, okay? So keep working it like this till you got a nice gradual fade. And I'm going to create our horizon with this aqua blue-green color that we started around the moon with. And I'm going to determine where our ocean horizon is, okay? I'll just say it's right around there. Okay, so not only do we have that circular fade, we're also going to have a horizontal fade. I'm trying to take my circular fade, I had that light blue color, and now I'm going to kind of just work on this area between the horizon light color and the little darker light blue color. Now I'm going to get a darker blue and a redder blue. In other words, have a little bit of purple in there. I'm going to distribute this dark color and take it gradually into the light color so that it fades from a light green, lighter blue, darker blue to kind of deep dark purple out there. And as I'm going around, I'm going farther and farther to the edges here. My brush is picking up dark paint. When we're doing these curved fades, we might not need to be so concentrating on every little brush stroke. But basically, we want to be conscious of what color of paint is in our brush.
After another layer of dark ocean, I'll dry my painting well before proceeding.
We're going to do a little bit of a glazing technique, like putting transparent layers over this already dried layer. So I'm just putting a little bit of oil on anything I might want to paint. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to repaint my moon. I'm going to make a white that's about 99% white and 1% yellow. I'm going to take a little bit of a purplish color, add it in there and create some shadows.
Lucky for me, I had a neighbor to help me figure out the pattern of the moon.
Can you just show me where it is?
The rabbit pounding mochi. So if you look at him from this way, get the ears right here. Okay. Then here's his body. And here's his hands right here. And then you get the pounding stone, yeah. And this right here is the mochi bowl, yeah. And then that's him, just the body, him.
Okay. Okay, well now the beauty is we're going to add some clouds in there. The way I like to go about it, I basically will make my clouds white first and then add some shadows on top of that white paint, okay? Okay, so I'm going to get some thicker clouds. Okay, now what I'm going to do is create a shadow of my clouds, and it's kind of going to be like the dark color of the sky. I'm taking this color and painting the inside of the clouds like that and leaving the white edges wherever I want to be bright. Remember the source of your light? The moon is lighting up the edges of your clouds. And I'm going to give a little bit of a haze, an atmospheric haze across the bottom of the sky. Okay, so a little magenta. I'm going to go in some dark clouds going across. So I'm kind of getting some gray, purplish, getting a little bit of a dark color over here. So as it gets into this hazy area, the clouds are just going to basically disappear. So as it's getting closer under the moon, it's getting lighter and greener. I'm even going to add a little more of that bright green color. I'm I'm gonna leave it right there. I'll probably dry it like that and then come back and glaze on some more highlights right under the moon.
Then I'll create some coconut trees in the foreground.
But gang, what I'm gonna do now is totally repaint all of these leaves. I'm gonna paint them turning from black into dark green, okay? Now I'm gonna get a medium green. And with this, I'm gonna lighten up about half of those leaves. And I can just choose whatever makes sense to me, where I think it's gonna look nice to make about half of those other leaves turn bright color. Now I'm going with an even lighter color, and that's kind of like the color of my light sky. And I'm going to take about half of those medium places and figure out where I might want to make them even lighter. Okay, but these leaves that are facing right at you, they'll get quite bright. They'll bounce that light right into your eye. Bing!
Then I'll go and paint the tree trunks and the island.
And the last thing I'm gonna do is sparkle up the water under the moon, okay? And that reflection is gonna come right down towards you, right under the moon, okay? It's not gonna go off this way like you might think, not gonna go off that way. We can get a little bit of white and yellow, maybe a little bit of this blue, so we're getting it quite bright. And just keep your horizontal strokes. Okay, it's happening right there, gang. You can even take a little bit of yellow and white and kind of sparkle it.
And that's how you can create a moonlight scene. When we come back, we'll talk about getting to know your black and white mind and the return of Ohana art classes. On Oahu's east coast lies a special place called Makapuu. On its cliffs is the Makapuu lighthouse, which was first built in 1909. Its 12-foot tall hyperradiant lens is the largest in the world, and its light still shines from within it, signaling mariners and aircraft of its location. In 2009, Naturally Hawaiian Gallery in Waimanalo hosted the 100th anniversary events for the Makapuu Lighthouse, including an art show, a hike with some of the old caretakers, and a t-shirt designed by myself and artist Nick Black. The original black and white design has now been recreated in color and printed in Hawaii, available in women's and men's sizes small to 3X. The t-shirts and mugs are available at Hawaiian Island Cafe in the Waimanalo Shopping Center or at patrickching.com. A portion of the proceeds go to benefit the Friends of Waimanalo.
Today I'm going to talk to you about getting to know your black and white mind. And the Moonlight episode is a perfect time to do it because in the moonlight our colors are reduced to dark and light. So black and white, or more accurately dark and light,
is so important in art.
Whenever I want to paint something, I look at it through my black and white mind because I realize that all the best artwork actually looks good if you look at it through a black and white filter. A good way to do this in the modern age is to look at your artwork through the grayscale or black and white setting on your computer. Another great way to develop your dark and light senses is to take black and white photography. For many years this was the only kind of photography available, and it really helped people to create their skills in composing their darks and lights. And certain black and white photographers became legendary for their understanding and use of dark and lights. When you can see your art through your black and white mind, you're not using the part of your mind that needs descriptions and explanations for everything that you're looking at. Then you can better judge the strength of your dark and light composition. So get to know the part of you that can see things in dark and light. Being conscious of this skill and developing it throughout your life will improve the impact that your art has on your viewers.
After a long break, I finally restarted painting workshops to family or Ohana groups at their own location. This group was eager to take on the challenge of painting the moonlight.
We can walk through rainbow, smiling faces as we go. We can climb up the sunset. Hold the rain, let it get us wet. Take my hand, come along and fly with me. We'll sail on.
It's a nice color. It makes the tree glow a little bit.
At the end of the day, we had a beautiful selection of moonlight scenes and memories that would last a lifetime.
Thank you for joining me on Painting in Paradise. I hope you enjoyed learning about how to draw a moonfish and how to paint the moon. I'd love to see what you did, so why don't you send it to my website at patrickching.com. Bye-bye.
Just show me where it is.
The rabbit tongue mochi. So if you look at him from this way, get the ears right here. Okay? And here's his body.